Fear stops us from achieving our true greatness. Are you a professional woman who is feeling stuck, unmotivated, or burned out? Are you worried about your wellness? Are you letting fear stop you from crushing your goals? If you answered yes to any or all of these, then this is the podcast for you. Dr. Charmaine Gregory, night shift emergency physician, burnout thriver, and wellness champion, along with everyday heroes just like you, will explore how to face fear in our lives and emerge victoriously.
Hello, Fearless Freedom family. Before we get into the goodness and awesomeness that is this episode coming up today, I wanted to just kind of talk with you about a couple of things. So, the first thing that I wanted to share with you is that I am still on my journey. And thank you for all of you who have been so supportive in this journey of me facing my fear of public speaking. And though we are in a time currently where I am unable to get on stages, I am doing my best to pivot and get on more virtual venues. So that means more appearances on virtual summits, more appearances on podcasts. And I'm super excited about that opportunity because it really allows for some stretch in my mindset. It also allows for some stretch in the mindsets of others that I know who are also speakers and who are also facing their fears of public speaking. So that was number one. Number two, super excited about how things have been going with the podcast. It has really continued to blossom, and we're at a point now where we're having such incredible value coming out of the podcast. And to me, what is more important than downloads is literally when I get a message saying, thank you so much, Dr. G, for having the show, because of your show, I have now decided that I'm going to punch fear in the face and I'm going to face my fear boldly, because I know that on the other side of fear, there is going to be nothing but victorious elation. So super excited about that. Thank you for everyone who listens to the show, who shares the show, who has subscribed to the show. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I definitely wanted to say thank you for that. The third thing is the podcasting launch course that I started last month actually. I am super excited about that because it is another way in which I'm learning to stretch, and I'm learning about what does it mean to put a course on, what kind of logistics are involved, and it has been such a learning experience, let me tell you. I have definitely appreciated the lessons that it has taught me. I've appreciated the people who have reached out to me and said that they benefited greatly from the webinar that we had. And I am very excited because I think that what's going to happen is I'm going to run another course, same course, but I'm going to run it again in a couple of weeks. And so listen out for that. You can always check out information on the course at podcastinglaunch.com, and get on there if you've been ever on the fence wondering if you can get your voice out to your tribe, wondering if you can utilize this media that is becoming so popular and being able to get the information that you need to get to your tribe actually in their ear and meeting them where they are, then this is definitely the course for you. I will definitely take you step by step through the process. You will, at the end, have everything that you need to have a successful launch, including your first 5 episodes, including your logo, everything that you will possibly need to be successful in podcasting. So I welcome you to check that out. Again, it is podcastinglaunch.com. Definitely go there, register, and if you decide that you want to do this in the future, then I definitely would love to have you on board, because I deeply feel that someone helped me to step off that edge, off the edge of the fence and into a greatness that I never knew that would exist. And that is, being able to be a creator in this space, being able to allow for not only my voice to be amplified, but the voice of the guests that come on the show. And, if you're kind of thinking about it, you've always wanted to share your views you've always wanted to share and give to an audience, then, podcasting is a great way to do it. So I encourage you to definitely check it out. And then the next thing is, I wanted to let you guys know that I recently signed on to be an affiliate with Libsyn.com. That Libsyn is a podcasting hosting service. And basically, I have utilized their service for the last year plus that the podcast has been in existence. And I've been super happy with what I have with them. And so as a result, I basically approached him and asked him if I could be an affiliate. And so here I am. I'm an affiliate, officially affiliate of Libsyn.com. And so if you decide that you're going to start your podcast, or you currently have a podcast looking for another platform, definitely go on and subscribe and utilize my affiliate code, which is DRG. So D is in dog, R is in Robert, G is in great. And that would be awesome, because then we'd be in the journey together. So yeah, so that's basically what I wanted to say to you guys. Today we have Tracey Maxwell, who is a nurse, and she has an incredible story. And so I leave you to take a listen to that. Thank you for indulging me. And once again, thank you for all your support. Remember, the way that we get the podcast heard by more ears is by giving it a 5-star rating, sharing it with friends, and subscribing. So I appreciate you, Fearless Freedom Tribe. Much love, Dr. G. Hello, Fearless Freedom family. Dr. G is here, and we have today with us Tracey Maxfield, and she's an amazing lady with a lot of amazing things that she wants to share with you guys. And we're going to have a nice chat. Tracey, you want to introduce yourself and let the audience know all about who you are and what you're up to?
Okay, thank you so much. I'm actually honored to be on the show. I've been waiting a while to come on. So
yes, you have. Thank you so much for your patience. I appreciate it.
So this is great. So in a nutshell, I was born in Wales in the United Kingdom in 1987. After qualifying as a nurse, I moved to Canada, where I've actually lived ever since, although I've been hopping around the West Coast. I've always worked in nursing since then. I just retired December 31st, 2019. I'm 56 years old, primarily concentrating in palliative care, gerontology, and dementia care. In 2015, due to workplace bullying, which had gone on for a number of years, I ended up having an acute depressive episode. And I likened it to falling down the rabbit hole. I've had previous episodes of depression, but this one was by far the worst. Suicide ideation, suicide attempts, very, very long progress through therapy. And during the therapy, I was encouraged to start a blog to try and explain to people what it was like, because depression is the invisible illness. And everyone thought I was fine. And when I started the blog, I just kept getting notes saying, this needs to be a book. You need to put this in a book. We didn't know. And so finally, in April 2018, I released my book, Escaping the Rabbit Hole, My Journey Through Depression, and was about to embark on a book promotion and talking actually about depression and suicide. And I was invited to a school to give a talk. And it was actually to talk about the use of descriptive imagery in my book to help the 15-year-olds write more creatively. And instead of talking about, likening my brain to an erupting volcano and everything, what happened was I had taken my book illustrations with me, which had been enlarged, and they depict black and white figures. You can see them on my website. Basically, they conveyed how I was feeling without using words. And as soon as I started displaying them behind me, I could hear the tone in the room change. And all of a sudden, it was not about how to write creatively. It was, how did you escape the rabbit hole? What can we do if we have depression? What do you do if you're being bullied? And I returned 2 weeks later, ended up having 63 teenagers come and confide in me what they were going through.
Oh my
And
gosh.
completely overwhelming. Cried my eyes out in the car on the drive home. And I thought, it's this school. There's a problem with this school. And I decided to do some research and was absolutely horrified to learn that this is a global problem, that our kids are dying around us and they are suffering. And a doctor friend actually said, have you thought this is your purpose? And I laughed and said, I'm not. Me going talking about kids? I don't think so. And he kept saying, I think there's a very clear message here. 63 kids that you do not know, they don't know you, came and opened their hearts to you. And he said, life purpose. And I thought, okay. And I started to do posts and information on social media. And the next thing, I'm on TV, on the radio, on podcasts. And here I am. And so my mission is to engage, educate, and empower children, teenagers, and young adults who are dealing with bullying, mental illness, suicide, how we can all work together and help them move forward and have the best life possible.
Wow. Oh my. That is extremely powerful. And thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing your story, because I'm sure that, yes, you shared it several times, but I'm sure there's still that element of fear in being so open and so vulnerable. So I definitely appreciate your vulnerability in this.
Thank you.
Because it makes all the difference, as you saw in that encounter when you had those 63 youth reach out to you and confide in you, that it is so powerful. And so thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Definitely. So, there's a lot of things in there that we can delve into. You mentioned that one of the things that really kind of pushed you over the precipice was the bullying that you experienced.
Mm-hmm.
Can you speak to that a little bit more if you're comfortable?
So the workplace bullying went on for 4.5 years. I had been given a new position as a team leader, and I moved to the hospital. Almost immediately, I had a superior who, although welcomed me there to get the work done, immediately became very intimidated that I actually rose to the occasion, for want of a better word. I was able to do the job very, very well. I developed a really good relationship with the nurses that I was working with. And I think the challenge was that everyone would call on me to come down and help solve their problems or help them figure out what to do, because I always think outside the box.
Got it.
I always have. And even though people find it very irritating sometimes, if you give me a problem, my plan is to solve it as quickly as I can and to implement it. And I was caught in a system where they recognized there were problems, as you know, in healthcare, but they didn't want you to come to them with a solution 5 hours later and then say, let's implement it. It was like, yeah, well, but wait. And the sentence I kept hearing all the time was, you're thinking 6 months ahead of everyone else of what to do. You got to wait for them to catch up. And I'm like, but we need solutions now. I mean, healthcare has problems. And it was very frustrating. But more and more tasks were given to me because I would come up with ideas. And whilst my superior was pleased that I was doing things because it made her look good,
absolutely,
it also made her feel threatened that I was wanting her position. And the thing was, I was very clear from day one, I did not want it. I never wanted it.
Yeah.
but it's, what would begin would be just, the subtle little digs, and then the little threats. And then it would be giving me much more work, and texting would start at like 6 a.m., even though my work didn't begin until 7:45. And the texting would continue till 10:30 at night. And it would be emails and phone calls. And it was just constant. And it was a very stressful, overwhelming job. But it was, well, you shouldn't be dealing with this now, because this is not your work day. So I didn't deal with it. And then it would be, but we need to get this done yesterday. And you just, right, you were torn both ways. When it suited her, she would implement the rules of the organization. But then when, she would completely turn them around 24 hours later. As I got involved in more and more things, and people started reaching out for me as opposed to her as the superior, that's when things became very, very difficult. Extreme, and as I said, it was constant. It was the asides to other people, it was the exclusion. It ended up by August, I had been completely excluded from everyone. I'd been moved to a separate building in a room with no windows. There was no one around. I was cut off emails. I'd complained so many times to different levels of management, and finally the most superior level had agreed that what had happened was not right, and that there was to be a meeting to discuss it. And a day before that meeting, my superior swooped in, said, "We need to have a meeting, call your union reps, I'm bringing you back to the hospital." And we went in, and I at that time I knew it was over. When you just have those vibes.
Oh, yes.
And I walked into a meeting where I was subjected to 1.5 hours of personal insults, lies, accusations. It was absolutely horrendous. And I was very calm. I'd read a book by Carolyn Myss that week. And she kept saying, "Stand in your own power. Do not give away your power."
Okay.
And I'd written it on a notebook. And I just kept looking at it and doodling around it. And at the end of the meeting, I walked out, and the two union reps said, "We're speechless. We've never in our lives gone through anything like that."
Wow.
They said, "We need to take this higher up. We don't, it's like there's no way you can work with her ever again." And with that, I just burst into tears. And because it was just so overwhelming. And I went home because I was in a state of shock.
Right.
And I kind of threw myself into bed and thought, just try and sleep and figure it out in the morning. And when I woke up in the morning, I thought I'd had a stroke. I literally couldn't move. And by the time I managed to kind of shift myself to the edge of the bed, I felt like someone had poured cement all over me. And when I got up to walk, I was actually crawling. And I thought, oh my goodness, what's going on?
Right.
Emotionally, I was drained, dark, hopeless, helpless. Every bone, every muscle hurt. But I didn't recognize it as depression. It was very weird. I thought something physical had happened. And it was only on the Saturday when I attempted suicide for the first time that I realized I was in trouble. And so it began, my life in the rabbit hole. And it was, now when I talk about it, I say to people, it was the most horrible thing I ever went with. To this day, I still can't believe I got out. But I also see it as a gift, because as I began the healing process, I learned a lot more about myself, what's important in life. to express gratitude and to be mindful. And I came out with not a new purpose, but also I considered it, I began a new life journey.
Absolutely. Wow. Wow. That is an incredible, incredible story of survival. I mean,
it was survival, yes.
Oh my gosh. I mean, wow. Thank you for sharing that, because I know that there's somebody listening who can completely relate to that. And your ability to have gone through that and been in the rabbit hole, like you said, to that depth, and then be able to get out is absolutely inspirational and will definitely give hope to many who are listening. So I really appreciate you being so open and vulnerable about your story, because it is just so powerful. Absolutely powerful.
Thank you. And I mean, yes, obviously I'd never set out to write a book about it, but when it became clear that there was going to be a book, the purpose of it was that I didn't want anyone else to ever go through what I went through, and A, feel that they were alone, and B, think that they couldn't get out of it. At the conclusion of the book, I say, I did it on my own. I was recently divorced. I was living on my own. And it was, if I can do it, you can do it. But it's going to take time. Let's be honest, it takes time. And also you must want to do it, because there is work that you have to do, and it's absolutely exhausting. But when you emerge the other side, and I'm sure you've heard many people say this when they've gone through some kind of trauma or adversity, when you emerge the other side, you are not the person you were before you went down the rabbit hole. You come out a very different person, and you're forever changed, but you have life lessons that have made you so much more empowered and grateful. And I was always a kind person, but you have a different level of kindness and appreciation, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So, yeah, yes, it's and then I guess the other thing too, I mean, there's so many levels of unpacking that we can do there, because, you talked about, you felt as though you were having a stroke. I mean, the words that you use, because when you're in the medical field, and not even necessarily being in the medical field, but like, the first thing that you think when something like that is happening is, oh my goodness, something physical is happening to me. I don't understand this thing. It must be something really, really bad. And it is something bad, but you don't recognize it initially as something that stems from what's going on with your mind and the condition of your mind. And so, yeah, I mean, to wake up and to not be able to move, to feel like, I mean, I love the description that you used. You said it felt like cement was on top of me, on my body. My body was made of cement. I mean, that just conjures up a picture that, you just can't move it. It's going to require a lot of energy to overcome that obstacle, and then thinking the worst, because you're like, okay, this must be a stroke, this must be a head bleed, this must be something like that, because why else would I not be able to move? There's a lot of fear that must have come about from that, that fear of, if this is a stroke, now what? How am I going to take care of myself? Like, I don't know what you're thinking, but I mean, I could just imagine, like, if I was in that situation, the kinds of fears that would conjure.
It is. It's that overwhelming sense of not understanding what's happened and what's going on, And also because you're so emotionally and physically exhausted, and the pain, like the emotional and physical pain, is that you can't even think properly to process what's going on. And it was like I was aware that it was me, but it was like I was in a different place, and it's difficult to describe. And you almost go on automatic pilot to try and, okay, well, it's morning, I should have breakfast, I should shower. And yet just the sheer effort to get there, and 30 minutes to clean my teeth, and I was like, what is going on with me? And as I said, I'm still so perplexed, knowing so much and having had 2 previous depressive episodes, why my brain couldn't comprehend that I had had a depressive episode. I was now in the midst of an acute depression. And I think it was because with previous episodes, I'd never had the physical effects. You kind of feel kind of tired and sluggish and kind of, heavy. But I'd never had such intense heaviness that I was crawling. And when I saw my doctor after this first suicide attempt, and she looked at me and she said, Tracey, your brain has just shattered. She said, imagine your brain is glass. It's just shattered. And she said, everything was so completely overwhelming.
Right.
And she said, it's just shattered. And in the book, I say, I felt like during that meeting, my heart and soul had been literally ripped out of my chest. And I'd lost me. I think that's the best thing to say. I wasn't Tracey anymore. I'd lost who I was, because everything I was before that Friday morning had gone. And I had no idea of what the next day and the next day and the next day would bring. And that it is, I mean, the fear, I would go to see my psychologist and say, I can't keep doing this. There isn't, I see no light at the end of the tunnel. Give me a date. I said, can you grab the calendar and circle a date and say, you will be healed?
Wow.
And I said, so, it would help keep me going. And he said, I can't. He said, we're gluing back all the pieces of your brain.
Yeah.
And he said, this is going to take time. And it was finally, my fear was, I was never going to get out of it, but also, what if another unexpected curveball came when I was so vulnerable and so damaged, for want of a better word? How could I cope with that? Because I already felt I was in the bottom of the rabbit hole. I couldn't even conceive how I could handle it if it got just even 1/10 worse. And, I journaled every day, and I look back at the journaling, and I'm reading it and going, I can't believe you carried on. When I see the pain and the torment that I was pouring out on the pages, and I can't keep doing this. And then, okay, go to bed, try again tomorrow. And that's what my life was like. Go and try again tomorrow. It was finally, I had to reframe everything and not look at days and weeks ahead, but it just had to be today.
Okay.
And that's where the mindfulness and the gratitude came in. My psychologist said, we got to change how you're thinking. And I think he says, you need to stop thinking next week, will I be better? Will tomorrow be better? He says, you just got to be present today. And that took a lot of work. And, I kind of laughed when he said express gratitude. And I was like, really? What have I got to be grateful for? And he said the simple things. You got electricity, you got hot and cold water, you got a flush and toilet, You got a roof over your head. And he said, when you journal, express gratitude. And I started, and I must be honest, the first 2 weeks, I was routinely not giving it any thought, writing down, today I'm grateful for hot and cold water. Today I'm grateful for, and I thought, no, you're not living, you're not embracing this. And I couldn't understand how gratitude could move me to a different place. And then, and I've told this story so many times. I walked out of the house. It was winter, end of winter. Spring was literally like a few days away, and the snow was melting. And I looked down, and there was a purple crocus had broken through the snow.
Oh wow!
And I looked down, and I thought, wow, what an amazing color, because it was just so intensely purple against the white of the snow, and the sun was shining, and I thought, that looks so pretty. And I stood and I was just looking at it for the longest time, and I could feel myself relaxing.
Oh wow!
And kind of almost smiling, and it felt very peaceful. And the thoughts were, spring is on the way, new beginnings. And then in the midst of the harshness of the snow, this crocus has broken through, new life,
right?
Nature. And it was like that little light bulb suddenly went off, and I went, oh wait, gratitude. And I had a therapy session that afternoon, and I went in and I said, I think I know what gratitude means. And I explained to him, and he actually jumped out of the chair and he went, aha, you got it. He says, gratitude. And that changed everything. It helped me, I think, move ahead a little more quickly in my healing process, but it also enabled me to focus on things that were meaningful, and instead of focusing on when am I going to get out of this, when am I going to get better, it was more going outside and being grateful for, sun shining on my face, and by the lake, and the peace, and wind just through the trees, and how it made me feel. And it was that ability to start recognizing those small things that gave me joy and pleasure that I think enabled to move me forward. And I've spoken to so many people who also said that when they got to that point of mindfulness and appreciating the little things that gave them pleasure, they were able to move to a different place. So yes, definitely helped me get to where I am today.
Wow. The purple on the white.
Yes.
Bringing you to that place of mindfulness and gratitude. Awesome. Awesome. Oh, this is some great stuff, Tracey. I really appreciate you and your story, sharing your story, you providing such great visuals in your speaking, because it really helps to bring home the idea, right? So you have a fear, you have this feeling where you may feel isolated, but there is always hope. And that hope can maybe start with just practicing gratitude, practicing mindfulness, practicing being present and appreciating those gifts, and then moving forward from there. So that's some great advice. And you have an amazing psychologist. Not afraid to give you some tough love, but at the same time, giving you practical tools to use in getting out of a bad situation. So no, that's fabulous. So definitely thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
So you spoke about your book. Do you have anything else that you're up to that you want to share with the audience? Because I know they're probably wanting to learn more about you, hear more from you beyond this conversation. So how can they get in contact with you, or what else are you up to?
Okay, so actually I've just launched my own podcast.
Yay! I love hearing that.
Engage, Educate, and Empower. And it's a weekly podcast where I have guests and we talk about social issues and life challenges that our kids are facing today. And so, we talk about bullying and bullycide and suicide, foster care, adoption, human trafficking, mental illness. It's kids can watch it. It's certainly PG. But it's also aimed for, parents and teachers and counselors and just people in general, because I think now more than ever, when, there is so much unrest and fear going on in the world, and that's globally, kids especially are trying to make sense of all of this. And when they're struggling with bullying or a mental illness, or even if their home life is not that good, we want to share information, and as I said, it's to educate, it's to engage, and it's to empower them, and it's for parents to listen to suggestions. I actually have kids on who can speak to what they're going through and what it's like and what they would like adults to do, so we can all start supporting each other, because we always say it takes a village to raise a child. And I think today with the pandemic, we need as a society to come together in our communities and kind of be there and support each other. And so that's the vision I have of the podcast. And it's on my website, but it's on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Podbean, YouTube. And then obviously if they want to check me out, they can go to my website, www.traceymaxfield.com. Loads of great articles about mental illness, bullying in kids, podcasts I've done. I have an online course. So there's resources, mental health resources. It's kind of like, it's one-stop shop, and I didn't want it to be all about me and about the book. I wanted it to be like that one-stop shop, and that people can go there and get information that will help them. And so, yeah. And
absolutely. That's great.
Once you're on the website, you can click and follow me on social media. All the links are there.
Okay. I just want to make sure that the audience is aware, because not everybody spells Tracey the same. So,
EY.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Tracey.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah. That's why I just didn't want them to go looking for you and then they couldn't find it. Awesome. All right. So this has been such a really, really awesome conversation. I know I have gotten a lot from it, and I'm pretty sure the audience has as well. So definitely thank you for taking the time out to hang out with us and to share your knowledge and expertise.
Thank you.
Greatly appreciated. So we have a tradition on the show, and at the very end of the show, what we do is we do something called fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
I am ready.
Maxwell, are you ready?
I am ready.
Awesome. Okay. So the first one is, to me, fearless freedom means
a life filled with peace and joy.
Awesome. The next one is, if I am fearless, I will
achieve my life purpose and be the person I was always destined to become.
Love it. Love it. And then last but not least, my battle cry is
never stop believing anything is possible.
So great. So great. Thank you so much, my dear, for coming
Thank
on.
you.
And
Thank you so much.
Lots of congratulations headed your way, but particularly the book for sure. The podcast, I'm partial. So yay, yay and double yay. Because that is a great way to get your voice heard, amplified, and in more people's ears, right? I mean, that's the whole point, getting the message out. So I really applaud you for getting that going and all the great things that are happening in regard to that. I will definitely make sure that we have all these things in the show notes, the podcast, the website, and all the other things that go along with you and all the amazing things that you're doing. So thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. It's been my pleasure. I've had a great time.
Awesome.